a strikeout, and that gets things started. A&M takes advantage of that. Now
Good afternoon, Bryan, College Station. Welcome to the Beliucci Hour lunch live on Sports Radio 1150 The Zone 102.7 FM, or excuse me, 93.7 FM. I've got to get that out of a bad habit. I typically write it down on my little index card up here, but I didn't today. 93.7 FM. Beliucci Hour lunch here at the Tap on Harvey Road, as we are every Monday and Thursday. Come check out the Tap's great lunch menu. $8.49 burger basket today. The other special $8.49 chicken fried chicken sandwich. Comes with fries and a drink. I've got my protein plate. I'm back on my as little carb as possible diet, going decently well for the first 2 or 3 weeks. And a lot of stuff to get to today as we wrap up spring football here in College Station tomorrow with the rescheduled maroon and white game. We'll get Billy's thoughts on that. Some storyline stuff to follow tomorrow for everybody that's going to be heading out there. Very hectic weekend in Aggie land. Not only is the spring football game going on, but you've got Parents Weekend, you've got Ring Day, you've got Aggie baseball at home against Auburn. I have not heard of any schedule changes just yet on that baseball series. It was floated to me yesterday that they may try to play 2 tomorrow, but that has not been confirmed. And I actually asked around about that yesterday evening and didn't get a response on that. Is that something that would happen? But keep your eyes peeled on Twitter, and then I guess on however you front table guys get your information. I'm sure they got to fax y'all or maybe send y'all a pigeon, a Coke can. Y'all got one connected to the A&M athletic department. So keep an eye out on that baseball series. Could be getting some alterations in those game times. Really interesting, I think, because Auburn. They're going to roll out the guy tomorrow night in Tanner Burns that's as good as anybody in the SEC, just like we say every week. But it's going to be interesting to see what happens if they alter that schedule. When does A&M, let's say A&M throws or has to play 2 games tomorrow. Do you throw Asa Lacey tomorrow? I think you have to, because what happens if you rain out the entire weekend and you don't get to pitch Asa? That would be worst case scenario. So I'm always interested to see how those types of things are managed with the weather. I get Liucci in here to talk about he went on a little trip yesterday, and here's what happened, and he's walking in, so I'll talk about it in front of him. He calls me yesterday at 4:30, asked me what I'm doing, and I told him that I was in the gym, and he goes, how much longer you got left? I said about 45 minutes. He goes, oh, well, never mind. I got a crazy itch or a little inkling to think that he was about to invite me to the Astros and Yankees last night, but because I was doing something that he doesn't like me doing all the time, or every time he calls me I'm in the gym, he wouldn't tell me that, hey, I've got tickets to the Astros Yankees tonight, would you like to go? He just left it.
That's exactly what happened. You are correct.
Okay.
And here's the deal. Here's the thing. I was called right before I called you. In full disclosure, you were like the 3rd invite. You weren't like way down bottom of the list.
That's about where I figure I'm at on your list. I mean,
no, you would normally be like way.
Stop.
Way. It would be like.
Oh no,
17.
we can't. But don't count females.
Okay.
In terms of males.
All right, then.
I feel like I'm
top
top 5.
2 different places. There's male friends of mine, like my buddies, but they're the ones in Houston. So I'll give you this. Here locally, you are top. If you go local, guy friends, invite to baseball, you're top 5.
Billy, when you hired me X amount of years ago, this is exactly what I thought. This was exactly what I wanted in this town.
You never thought you would get to that level.
I've risen to such royalty.
The subset of College Station males
that I would watch.
That are invited to baseball games. You're top 5. So,
but I didn't get invited yesterday.
Well, here's why.
I thought you were going to ask me to go to dinner, and then I saw your Instagram.
So I got the invite late. I was wanting to go during the week, and I just never called and got it arranged. So I was like, I'm just going to skip it. It's the first home series, or second, I guess. But then my buddy called and said, hey, I got extra, 2 extra tickets. They were good seats. So I was like, all right, like, why not? And I called you. You're working out. I'm not going to have you. First of all, I had to leave like within 30 minutes. Like even I had maybe 45 minutes to get ready and get out of the house. So you weren't going to leave that gym, and you damn sure weren't coming in my car without showering after working out. So once you said that and you said you had just started, I was like, yeah, he's out.
That was
and I didn't want to make you. I didn't want to make
well,
you.
and you went to the series where you can't lose, right? I mean, that we've talked about this ad nauseum about your selective hometownism.
I've stated on the record I root for the Astros over the Yankees, and here's why. They're a more fun team.
I like the Yankees a lot more this year than I did last year. LeMahieu, I like Todd Frazier, and I like Aaron Judge.
Last night's lineup wasn't all that great, because Stanton's out and then Sanchez didn't play. He came in and pinch hit.
Well, because he's not been great, and he's terrible behind the plate. The Astros didn't have Bregman last night.
Yeah, I know. No, I'm not. The Astros are better. My uncle is an obsessed Yankee fan and has been since, the 1950s, and I keep telling him, I'm like, don't hold out any hope because they ain't doing anything this year. And I keep telling him the Red Sox are going to beat them, and he's like, oh, they're 3-9. I just don't. Once they got rid of Joe Torre, I didn't think Girardi was that good. He was, but I just think they're rudderless, dude. I'm not.
I don't like their starting pitching enough to like to go with the lineup.
Yeah.
So I think they'll make the playoffs. They're probably the wild card or second wild card team. But
anyway,
I think the Astros started slow, and all of a sudden they go home, and then the A's team they swept was like a 96-win team last year, and then the Yankees they swept was a 100-win team last year. So the Stros getting it going right. And I tweeted last night, and we'll get into A&M football stuff.
I think every Astros game, by the way, that I've been to, Jose Altuve has
So here's my question. Pound for pound, Jose Altuve is the best player in sports right now. And I
best
didn't think
athlete?
Just overall player.
So not like – because I was going to say I watched a fight the other night with Lomachenko in boxing, and pound for pound, he might be the best pound for pound
here's
fighter.
My deal. Pound for pound, though, these guys – and somebody tweeted at me like McGregor and Lomachenko.
I wouldn't say McGregor.
These guys are – but they're fighting in their weight class.
Yeah.
Like Jose Altuve is going and competing in a sport where everybody's so much bigger.
Does weight matter in baseball? I mean, it doesn't matter in the field. It doesn't.
So the only anomaly about Altuve is that he's short. Yeah. That's really the only anomaly about it, because everything, all the other tools are there in spades.
I'm going to tell you something, and I've met Altuve a couple times, and in shaking his hand, like I've been around with Carlos, a bunch of those Astros, and that's one of the more impressive pro athletes I've ever met, including guys like J.J. Watt and Gronk, these big, giant dudes, some of these offensive linemen over the years, D linemen. But, DeAndre Jordan, but
Myles Garrett.
Miles is a freak. Vaughn isn't. But I'm just saying one of the more impressive athletes I've ever met has been Altuve, because he is so damn tiny, but when you shake his hand and you see his forearms and you could just tell he's a powerful dude. So I mean, I think of all the sports, obviously height matters least in baseball, and if anything probably gives him an advantage with that strike zone. I just think what's rare about him
is crazy.
But that has nothing to do with his height, right?
But it's part of him as the total package. Is what I'm saying.
Incredible, yeah.
And I think the best argument I heard was Lionel Messi, and I wasn't even taking into account international soccer.
Yeah, I saw that guy schooled you.
Yeah, that was.
You could tell me Messi's 5'4" or 6'10", and I wouldn't know. Yeah,
he's probably the greatest soccer player.
I know who he is. I just don't watch a lot of soccer.
So
I'm World Cup guy. Maybe what's the other?
The Olympics have soccer.
Olympics, World Cup guy. That's all I am in soccer.
A&M moves their spring game to tomorrow. We'll close this first segment with just your thoughts on that move. Good move, had to do it, or was it something you thought that they maybe should have wrote out? And I'll ask from a recruiting analyst perspective, it has thrown a wrench in some of these kids' plans.
Yeah, I feel like A&M needs to get some momentum on the recruiting front going.
Here, let me ask you this.
This could have been that weekend.
If it doesn't work out in terms of visitor list this weekend, I would imagine with that staff and that recruiting staff headed by Austin Stompus and Larry McDonald, I would imagine that they're going to do something else.
Yeah.
They'll have
Why
like another
not?
junior day.
Why not?
You know, if this doesn't work out as well as they want it to.
I think they should. I think they should, and I think they will. They'll do something because, like you said, they're forward thinking. They're not going to just say, "Oh, the weather screwed us and we can't recover." Because
that's one thing about it. They're not
recover.
going to get complacent. You know, I think with someone here, they got complacent a lot of times on the recruiting trail, and they let momentum happen in front of their eyes.
Yeah.
I think if you feel like there's momentum in other places in the state on the recruiting trail right now, this staff certainly sees that and will be proactive about it to try to at least swing the pendulum.
Yeah, I think you have to look, and you have to say, look, OU's got momentum going. They're going to have a big
official visit weekend.
Yeah, and they got a couple A&M targets going on officials. I think Texas has momentum, although it's not. I think OU's got more, if we're being honest, than Texas does, but they seem to have a little. The good news is a lot of guys aren't falling off the board, but that could change this weekend, So it's, A&M, I do think maybe putting together a little something post-spring to get some guys. And it doesn't have to be big. It doesn't have to be like the Super Bowl thing, but
let Terry Price cook.
Get a dozen, 15, 20 guys in here think outside the box and come up with something maybe unique that you haven't seen. So
from the game perspective, are you okay with them moving it?
Yeah, I mean, you got to be careful, you got to be safe, but you don't want it to get canceled. And more specifically, I think for recruiting purposes, you got to have something. Here's the deal. I know what you're saying. Well, it's hurt, the logistics of some of these kids being able to get here. But imagine if everybody woke up in Dallas or Houston or Austin, Dallas, Houston, East Texas on Saturday, and all these storms are going on. They're not going to come anyway. They're going to stay at home. Now, it'll be unfortunate granted, you don't want like severe weather in your area, but for any reason. But if this thing generally misses, and you go, could have had it.
That's the dice you're rolling, right?
But it's just not it's not something you want to play with. Is weather. It's just again, it's unfortunate. It's like that hurricane game against La Tech. It's not the same magnitude. It's a game and it's a hurricane, but you just can't screw around with weather.
Yep,
you can't.
On the other side of the break, we'll dive into that spring game on tomorrow night. You listen to Beliucci Hour Lunch live on the Zone
on April 28th in
Welcome back out to the Tap Beliucci Hour lunch. Ryan Brauninger, Billy Liucci with you live on Sports Radio Lefty to the Zone, 93.7 FM as we get ready for the Texas A&M Maroon and White game tomorrow night at Kyle Field. Once again, big weekend in Aggie Land baseball series at home. Ring day, parents weekend, a lot going on. If you're out and about on Saturday, make sure you bring something to keep covered with as we're expecting pretty bad weather, and that's why they moved that spring game to tomorrow. So, Luch, we start looking at what may happen on the field tomorrow. I guess the first big thing that you're going to want to watch is what?
I do want to watch the other quarterbacks outside of Kellen Mond. I mean, again, like I said the other day, you're not going to try to glean too much into that. But I just want to see if one of them were to clearly outperform the other two. I'm not expecting that, but if that were to happen, that would catch my attention. So I'm looking there.
You know what I want to see?
What?
I kind of want to see Jay Sean getting not a ton of reps. I don't want to beat him down in a spring game, but I want to see him get 12 to 15 carries. And can he be? What did he learn from Travion? Did he learn to be patient in the hole, or is he going to try to bounce stuff outside? You know, what is his next step as a young running back? And if he's going to get the lion's share of the carries, you know, what does his progression look like since that bowl game to right now? Because I went back last night, Luch, and I watched the entirety, the first 3 quarters of the A&M Auburn game.
Yeah.
Travion was so good.
Oh, he's incredible.
Just the way he set up his blockers and stayed patient with runs and.
Let me give you some advice. Watch NC State.
Watch
LSU. Watch Ole Miss. Watch UAB. I mean, that stretch was some of the best football I've ever seen played by an Aggie.
I don't disagree.
An A&M individual with shoulder pads on, that was about as good a 5-game stretch or half a season, you can almost say, that I've ever seen.
I don't disagree. And so what I'm curious to see is, does Jay Sean show it? Because he's certainly explosive. Mm-hmm. But how mature as a running back has he gotten now that he's going to be the guy? And, you know, nobody expects him to replicate exactly what Travion did. And they're different kind of players, too.
Can I say something? I agree 100% with what you're saying. I think he's going to be exceptional catching the ball. I think he's going to give them an outside element that wasn't there. Now, that's not all on Travion. That has to do with, I think, the blocking on the perimeter is going to be stronger. Eventually, and had Jace come back, I think Jace would have been a damn good blocker this year. Mm-hmm. But at the start of last year, he and Trevor Wood were trying to just figure things out, and that shouldn't be. Well,
they're about the same spot as they were last year in terms of experience. You know, with Joe John there and 2 new guys.
I mean, really, at least Beal played last year.
And Trevor Wood had played, but not in that system.
Not in that system at all. And Beal's played in the system. You know, he's been in there on some significant snaps last year. But anyway, in terms of Corbin, this is why I have a hard time talking about spring games. It really is one more practice. And you're talking about, like, everything you're saying, I would say August. I would say let's see how he looks in September. Because
I agree.
Because right now, you're talking about a guy that's practiced, like, I don't know the exact number, but of the 13 practices they've had,
6 or 7.
Maybe practiced 5. Yeah.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah. So he, you know, and it was a hamstring. So I don't know how much workload they'll give him. I mean, if he's going to be out there practicing, he's going to practice. They're not going to, like, totally baby him. But that's the thing. Like, those receivers, they're not going to cancel the spring game like TCU did. But Davis, Kendrick Rogers,
Hez
now has been out. You've got Davis and Rogers missed extensive time with minor stuff, but enough to keep them out. Rashad Paul's missed action. So, again, this has been one of those springs where certain positions have been hit hard by injury, not significant. So the good news is I don't think they've had a major injury in the spring. But the bad news is there's been a lot of guys banged up. So I have a hard time looking at one practice and trying to glean a whole lot. I'll tell you what I'm excited to see is just that entire defensive line in action for the 1s and 2s. and I want to see how they do. I want to see how the Aggie offensive line
This will be one of the
does against
one of the
them.
toughest
I think
coaching
it's been-
jobs for Josh Henson of this calendar year, maybe
Yeah.
this spring game.
It's been a tough road for those guys inside as they're trying to figure stuff out. You're trying to figure out who your center is. You're trying to replace McCoy, who to me was the best center in college football. And then you've also lost a guard, so it's 2/3 of your interior. Hawker's been out. He was out for an extended period at some point there. A lot of things, a lot of instability in there on the inside, and that's not the place you want to be unstable at. And I think it's had an effect kind of on the offense this spring because those inside guys for A&M are so damn good.
I think it does leave the door open more so because of the injuries and the uncertainty and kind of revolving door in there. And they're mixing and matching, trying to figure it out. But it does leave that door cracked a little bit wider for Kenyon Green.
Yeah, I think that door is pretty wide, and it's got to be a wide door for him to fit through it. He's a big old boy coming in here, and he's going to be. I think at the end of the day, if he's as good and. I got into it some of the other day that was saying, Caleb Chapman can't stay healthy. He's been hurt his whole career. And I go, he literally has been here 1 year, and he tore an ACL. I mean, that was
he's been injured once.
90. Well, then he was out some this spring, but with the same injury, it was a pulled muscle. like 90% of that time he missed is because he tore an ACL. I mean, it happens in sports. And I also had to point out the guy, it literally hasn't even – he has 4 years of football still to play at A&M. And you're going to go, well – and everyone was saying that about Alaka, who had actually quite a few injuries early on. And guess what? He started his last 2 seasons. I think he missed 1 game, the bowl game. Maybe he missed 2 in the last out of the last 26 games or so. You got to hang in with these guys, especially a freshman that was showing so much. But anyway, getting back to what I was saying, they had those injuries on the inside. I think if Kenyon Green, again, I was saying I don't want this to say this. He wasn't good enough to play as a true freshman, so he's done. I think Kenyon Green's going to be not good, but an elite.
Best offensive
SEC
line prospect I've watched.
At A&M, yeah, elite. Whether it happens next year or if it takes him some time to adjust, like a season to adjust. But especially at that position. But with that said, I think if he's as good, and we know he's got his head screwed on straight, so I think I would be surprised if at some point he doesn't crack into that starting lineup because, like you said, that interior has been really hodgepodge, mix and match, some couple of injuries, a lot of youth and inexperience, and I think it's a perfect opportunity for him to come in.
Freshman, early enrollee that you're most excited to see play tomorrow?
Early enrollee, maybe Derek Hunter.
Good answer.
Probably Derek Hunter to me because he has been playing in that rotation. And he continues to turn heads. Andre White would be another one.
Really?
Yeah.
I haven't heard much about the linebackers, but I think Derek Hunter's a good pick. The one that most people will have their eyes on is Zach Calzada, and I'm actually excited to see him because we've gotten such good reports on how he's picked up the offense, obviously physically gifted enough with his arm to compete. But, Baylor Cupp is going to play. Of all those guys, he is going to play.
Baylor Cupp, I've almost I almost don't put him in that conversation anymore. I really think, look, Baylor Cupp is almost like I almost call him like a co-starter, really, at tight end. And it's just almost like he's not he is a true freshman because he's still got a lot that he has to work on. And Jimbo and Joe John are, really putting him through the ringer this spring, trying to get him ready. But, I almost am like he's like a co-starter. And so I'm thinking of guys that are a little less obvious.
Yeah.
And
I'll be interested to see.
Calzada and Hunter are the two you'd be really excited about.
Be interested to see if somebody in the media can ask Jimbo, post-spring game, just What have you seen now after 4 months with Baylor that maybe you didn't know when you recruited him, and that's different than all these other great tight ends that you've had? Like, how is he standing out compared to what?
Well, we've got a couple people that go to those things and ask questions in Olin and Gabe, so we can.
I'll let Olin in on that.
Why don't you let them know? Because I do think that's an interesting question. The other thing, like one thing I didn't mention when you talked about it that will be fun to watch is let's see how these running backs. You mentioned Corbin. I'm thinking it's more like I've seen Corbin in games. I've seen Corbin against Mississippi State when A&M couldn't run the ball, give them some juice and some spark. I've seen him almost hit home runs and just barely get tripped up. I've seen that potential. I want to see Vernon Jackson with extensive action. I want to see Cordarian Richardson. I'd like to see, Deneric Prince. I'd like to see if Jacob Cabote is hanging around and holding his own with those guys. But really, what I really am excited to see the two big guys, Vernon and Cordarian, run the ball.
It was kind of leads me to my next question, which I'll get to on the other side of the break. A lot more to break down on this spring game coming up tomorrow. You listen to Beliucci Hour Lunch live on The Zone.
From News Talk 1620 WTAW, I'm Chelsea Reber with a news update on The Zone 1150 AM and 93.7 FM. There's a 20% increase in the number of freshman in-state applicants at Texas A&M from last year.
Pretty startling increase. I don't know that I've ever seen an increase of that magnitude in a single year.
President Michael Young told the Faculty Senate this week the out-of-state applicant pool is up 26%, and the number of completed applications this year is higher than the total number submitted in past years, all with the idea of admitting 10,000 to the flagship campus this fall.
And we're on a pause on growth to the extent we can as we try to really right-size a lot of our support resources. Our classroom inventory, the number of professors we have, whether we're able to provide adequate numbers of classes in critical areas.
Young says most of the growth in applications is coming from top academic students. Last September, the College Station and Bryan City Councils decided to revisit the joint operational structure of the Bio Corridor area. The Bryan City Council this week followed the College Station City Council's decision last week to approve changes that include, for the first time, building standalone apartment and other multifamily developments. College Station Mayor Carl Mooney, speaking on WTAW, raised the possibility of repurposing the Nutrabolt corporate building after officials moved to Austin.
That building has a gymnasium in it, for example, and it has some wide open office space, so it would be easy to convert for some other purpose. It has a nice little auditorium in it as well.
Mooney has discussed with various groups the possibility of a recreation facility. A Bryan man remains in jail on bonds totaling $142,000 following two arrests last weekend. 40-year-old Julian Dixon was arrested by Bryan police last Saturday, initially on a warrant accusing him of making a terroristic threat 3 weeks ago. According to the arrest report, 4 officers were involved due to Dixon's violent tendencies. For more, go to WTAW.com. I'm Chelsea Reber on The Zone.
This is Captain Paul Ryerson from the Salvation Army of Bryan College Station. Please join us in presenting sponsor Stylecraft Builders for the 8th annual Doing the Most Good Luncheon on Thursday, May 16th at the College Station Hilton. Our program includes a keynote address from our own Aggie astronaut, Colonel Michael E. Fossum, COO of Texas A&M Galveston and a veteran of 3 space flights. Together, we can ensure that the Army will continue its positive year-round impact and keep its promise of doing the most good. Tickets available now at salvationarmybcs.org.
Folks are always looking for a place to meet friends, grab some food, relax, and unwind with a cold beer, mixed drink, or glass of Boots sweet tea. The Tap on Harvey Road has been the place to do just that for nearly 30 years. A casual atmosphere and tasty food keeps people coming back for more. Our burgers, salads, chicken tenders, nachos, and more are sure to satisfy whatever craving you have. And being in SEC country, the Tap is a great place to meet before, during, or after the game. See you at the Tap on Harvey Road in College Station.
Heart disease is the #1 killer of women. That's why women across Texas are proud to support the American Heart Association and the Go Red for Women movement, dedicated to ending heart disease through education, advocacy, and research. This year's Go Red for Women luncheon is Thursday, May 2nd at the Hilton College Station and Conference Center. Buy a table or tickets and bring your friends for an event full of learning and fun. It may be the luncheon that saves your life. For more information, visit us at brazosgored.heart.org.
And now, an ad from Mom.
Bundle home and auto with Progressive and save on your car insurance. Excuse me, maybe we should add in the word money so they know that they're saving money. I'm just going to add that in there, okay? Hello? Just nodding at me. Okay, well, he's got enough buttons to push in there.
Progressive can't save you from becoming your parents, but we can save you money when you bundle home and auto. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Keep it locked to the Zone for your daily dose of Aggie football conversation. It's Gabe, Bolin, Billy, and the gang on TexAgs Radio. The Usual Suspects. Mornings at 8 on the Zone, 1150 AM and 93.7 FM.
Welcome back to the Beliucci Hour Lunch. Ryan Brauninger, Billy Liucci with you. 12:37 on a Thursday afternoon as we bring you into the 1 o'clock hour where Louis Bellina will take you the rest of the way. Luch, I thought it was interesting this week. We'll go back into the spring game stuff, but the subtweeting by the director of recruiting at the University of Texas where he took shots at Oklahoma.
Yep.
I thought it was one of the more bizarre things in a list of bizarre actions that's happened over there.
Yeah.
I don't get it. Like, what would you stand to gain by publicly taking shots at another university? And the funny thing is that the Longhorn fan base doesn't think
they love it.
They don't think they negatively recruit. Well, this is open. This is like put it on a billboard.
Negative recruiting doesn't bother me. I respect the schools that don't have to do it and can recruit great players without doing that. But I guess it's just something you have to accept that's there, and most schools are going to do it. But
Georgia did it to A&M down the line with Calzada, big time.
And acting like an ass clown on social media as a member of a coaching staff.
I thought it was unprofessional.
That guy, he stays unprofessional because he's not a professional. He's a guy that Texas brought in. And I don't think anyone on the Texas staff are pros. And I think, or there's a couple, but I think they're generally, it's amateur hour over there. And, again, they've just got so much to recruit to. I think they do a good job with promoting the message on social media. I think that's an area where they're one of the stronger groups. They spin a lot, and if it's working, then how can you blame them? In Arkansas, you just can't. They're just everywhere on social media with these kids, and that, look, again, more power to them on that regard because it is a powerful medium. But things like that tweet the other day. This is a guy in Brian Carrington who's a recruiting director, whatever his specific title.
I would hope. I mean, I know Austin Thomas would never act this way.
Who thinks he's the star of the show? Sometimes it almost feels like over his boss, the head coach Tom Herman, and I just don't know how sustainable that is.
I don't either.
Not to mention, I think there's a lot of behind-the-scenes work that's done in conjunction with the services over there, and the whole thing, I'm not a fan of the way it looks and feels.
It's just so odd to me that he's built this whole reputation and shtick on being quiet, but he talks all the time.
Yeah, but honestly, like, to hit rewind like 3 minutes here, I would have preferred we not even give it.
Yeah.
The time of day, because that's exactly what like in any profession, in any walk of life, going back to grade school through high school, that's what guys with that type personality want, is attention. Yeah. And we just gave it to them. So I mean, to me, I'd rather not bring it up. And that OU part of it, the part that's so funny is you're going after Oklahoma. It was very clear. You're going after Oklahoma, and maybe he thought he was going after Texas too. I mean, A&M too, but A&M really wasn't having a bunch of official visits. So in that case, it's probably Oklahoma. But they stay kicking your ass. And I know Texas beat them last year. OU returned the favor in the game that really mattered. And OU is so – they're on the level that Texas hopes and prays they can get to. So I don't understand, like, calling them out. If I was Lincoln Riley, it would be my mission to it would be my only goal almost in coaching would be to score as many points on those guys as you can next year. Because let me tell you, I keep watching those highlights, and it looks really pretty for their offense, but I just keep sitting there going, I wonder what that defense is going to look like after losing the guys they lost.
Go back to the A&M spring game. The question that I had for you before the break was, or I'd asked you before the break, newcomer that you're most excited to see. Now, how about a guy that's been here a little bit, so not a freshman that you want to see play? Maybe as not a starter, under-the-radar guy that you think's, on the verge of taking the next step.
Well, I mentioned those running backs. and
yeah, Cordarian Richardson was one of mine.
I want to see Glenn Beal, because it can't just be the Baylor Cup show. They need two. And like what we were talking about, Beal has that experience. I mean,
the Loch Ness Monster.
I'd like to see Michael Clemens.
Yeah,
that's
not who I was talking about.
We haven't been able to see really yet. I really want to see him. You're talking about Chapman.
Mm-hmm.
He's been splitting time with Ronnie Elam. You'll see both of them in that nickel spot. But I would say Michael Clemens. Michael Clemens, Bobby Brown, and those running backs. That's really those are the guys that, to me, I'd be like, I'd really love to see them show out. Not Bobby Brown is just like, it's just it's like an oddity at this point. Like I'm just so like, gosh, I've got to go see this guy and what he can do on the inside paired up with Justin Matabike, because it's flat out frightening, and it's not something you see at A&M very often, is a 330-pounder that can move like he can and that can play football like he can.
The guy that I think needs a bounce-back year is Derek Tucker.
Well, I mean, he needs a bounce-back spring or he won't get a chance at a bounce-back year, because you've got the guys coming in. You've got some flexibility to move someone if you had to. So, yeah, at the end of spring, I'd like to get an update on how Derek Tucker did, because he did kind of remain in that starting lineup the whole time. So you got to think that he was at least
and Leon's got work to do.
Showing improvement.
Leon played great in the bowl game.
I love Leon. I love Tuck. And I think those two might knock a few dudes out next year.
Yep.
But it is a question, is like, can you put two guys back there together that both of them give up a little bit in the way of speed on the back end? Can you have two out there like that? You're going to at some points, but I just think Mike Elko's going to have some other guys playing at safety as well. And those may very well be your two starters throughout the season. But
Keldrick Carper gives you some more range back there.
He does.
And Larry Pryor's, we forget about him.
Very experienced.
Yeah, played a ton of football.
Kind of makes some plays.
Yep.
He kind of makes some plays. So
I thought I was really encouraged by the way Ronnie Elam finished. I think the secondary, again, they're in good spots. You're encouraged by some of the things you see. I just think it's hard for them to go backwards in terms of playmaking on the ball.
They also, it's hard. And they have to but they also have to get a lot better. They have to get a lot better. There's not, they showed some improvement. They have to get a lot better. You probably lost Clemson and Mississippi State and Auburn.
Auburn for sure.
All three of those. Think about the plays on the ball that were not made.
Mississippi State, you didn't play well as a whole.
But Bronny, everything they were able to accomplish offensively were with guys in position to make plays on the football. The long touchdown to start the third quarter, I think Renfro almost had what would have been a pick six on a 3rd and 12 on their opening drive of the game, 3rd and 8, 3rd and 12, and then they go down and score. That drive would have been over even with a PBU. And the 3rd and 21, where and again, I think that was more on the linebackers, where everybody went after Fitzgerald, and then it left the guy open to streak across the field. But to go 84 yards on 3rd and 21 in a 1-point game, on the last play of the third.
That was one of the bigger plays of A&M's season.
So that game, Auburn in the final 2 drives, and then think about Clemson. That first long touchdown on the throw by Lawrence,
you had a blatant PI on one of them.
The little slip pass and then the blatant PI. A little slip pass to Etienne where he made, I think it was Tucker, just whiff. It was Tucker Oliver, just whiff.
Well, Amari Rogers had
it's a third
whiff.
Down play.
That was.
Wait, let me finish. It's a third down play. He makes a guy miss and gets a first down. Otherwise, it's a field goal. That's a 4-point difference right there. The play where I think it was Oliver that was on him like a blanket. Amari Rogers. It was the first pass. No, that was T. Higgins.
They hit Amari Rogers across the middle, and Tuck missed the tackle, and he got loose down the sideline.
The first pass to T. Higgins was beautifully covered. No play on the ball.
That was the whole Ole Miss game, too.
So, now, do you see what I'm saying? They have to get a lot better. So, it's hard to tell with injuries at receiver. It's probably hard for this staff to be able to tell, like, hey, if you're not doing it against Kendrick Rogers and Jamon and Courtney, and there's not a Jace out there yet, you hope Cup's going to be a stud, but, it's hard to gauge. So we're going to have to wait till fall camp. Well, guess what happens in fall camp? Eric Young, Damani Richardson, Brian Williams, and Elijah Blades are coming in. And, oh, by the way, so is Miles Jones, who's been out, I think, all spring. If he's been back the last couple of days, I didn't even notice. But, that's 5 guys that are going to be inserted into the equation that are not out there this spring. So, really interesting position.
On the other side of the break, we'll close the show with your question from here at the Tap. You listen to Beliucci Hour Lunch live on the Zone.
Everyone makes mistakes. Mistakes can land you on the wrong side of the law. If so, you need someone on your side. Steve Gustitis, attorney at law, has over 20 years' experience fighting felony and misdemeanor charges. Steve Gustitis will fight for you. Call now to set up your free consultation, 823-9111. Qualified people are ready to take your call. Call 823-9111 or visit GustitisLaw.com to see how Steve Gustitis can put the law on your side.
Folks are always looking for a place to meet friends, grab some food, relax, and unwind with a cold beer, mixed drink, or glass of Boots Sweet Tea. The Tap on Harvey Road has been the place to do just that for nearly 30 years. A casual atmosphere and tasty food keeps people coming back for more. Our burgers, salads, chicken tenders, nachos, and more are sure to satisfy whatever craving you have. And being in SEC country, the Tap is a great place to meet before, during, or after the game. See you at the Tap on Harvey Road in College Station.
This is Captain Paul Ryerson from the Salvation Army of Bryan College Station. Please join us in presenting sponsor Stylecraft Builders for the 8th annual Doing the Most Good Luncheon on Thursday, May 16th at the College Station Hilton. Our program includes a keynote address from our own Aggie astronaut, Colonel Michael E. Fossum, COO of Texas A&M Galveston and a veteran of 3 space flights. Together, we can ensure that the Army will continue its positive year-round impact and keep its promise of doing the most good. Tickets available now at salvationarmybcs.org.
And now, an ad from Mom.
Bundle home and auto with Progressive and save on your car insurance. Excuse me, maybe we should add in the word money so they know that they're saving money. I'm just going to add that in there, okay? Hello? Just nodding at me. Okay, well, he's got enough buttons to push in there.
Progressive can't save you from becoming your parents, but we can save you money when you bundle home and auto. Progressive Casualty Insurance Company, affiliates, and other insurers. Discounts not available in all states or situations.
Jill, why don't you tell the class what you did this weekend?
Well, my dad and I went in search of some magical minnows and found a zillion of them in the stream from our lookout rock. Then my sister and I escaped from an evil slug king and went back to my super twig fort for safety. Then we told stories till it got dark, and the Big Dipper led us all the way home.
Where were you, Jill?
We went to the forest. It's not that far away.
Ask your parents to take you and your friends to the forest this week. It's closer than you think. Check out discovertheforest.org. Brought to you by the U.S. Forest Service and the Ad Council.
You can hear the Paul Feinbaum Show weekdays 2 to 4 here on the Zone. Presented by Polaris Fun Center. Paul Feinbaum is SEC Country, and Aggieland is SEC Country too. Join Paul weekdays 2 to 4 here on the Zone. Polaris Fun Center, where you can get a $500 rebate on any 450 or 570 Model A TV, or $2,000 cash back on a Polaris XP1000. Polaris Fun Center, where they sell and service fun, not tractors. The voice of the SEC, and you can hear Paul Feinbaum weekdays from 2 to 4 on the Zone.
Final segment of the show Thursday. Got a lot of questions here at the tap. Ryan Brauninger, Billy Liucci with you. Beliucci Hour lunch. Luch, let's get right to it. Got about 6 minutes to get to about 6 questions. Do y'all still see us getting 2 or 3 commits this weekend? Obviously, to me, with the reschedule, you got to wait to see who makes it in. I still feel good about them getting 1.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah. I think they'll get 1 probably on the defensive side of the ball.
Yeah.
And a really good one.
And I just don't know who else is, like, right there ready to pull the trigger that's coming in.
Yeah, I don't know.
It's
we've seen
tough.
it happen before with, like, Damon Demas and Jalen Jones.
Oh, I think they can get guys. I think it'll be, like, the aftermath of the visit. You know, like, they have some guys in, they have a great spring game experience, and A&M surges up their list, and maybe it's sometime in the week or 2 following. But as far as this weekend goes, if you put the over-under at 1.5, I might go with the under.
Yeah,
but if you're asking over the next couple weeks, yeah, I could see them adding a couple more.
How much impact did the spring game move have on our recruiting efforts? Kind of went over that already. Which quarterback are you most interested in seeing? We went over it, but you never picked one.
I've seen a lot of Blumrick. I'd have to say Calzada and Foster. I really want to see Foster.
James Foster's kind of forgotten man.
He's a guy that people still talk about on the inside. It's not like, a forgotten man because of, you've got the established starter and then you've got the talented, whip-armed true freshman. But I just keep saying, don't forget about Foster.
Hunter Goodwin, arms like
buggy whips,
neck like a stack of dimes.
Yeah, that was his description of Brookhart back in the day.
Any serious receivers any serious injuries to the receivers?
No, like I said earlier, no.
I'm worried. Front table.
Worried. Now, you didn't have to say I'm worried and then say the front table. It's kind of like it's
hand in hand.
Yeah.
I'm worried because I don't know who our deep snappers are.
All right. Well, then you know what? You should have been listening last week.
We did have a question about, before the show started, any update on Buzz's assistants?
No. My only update was that stuff about Jay Lucas and Tony Benford. I think that's premature, and I think
also said it
Buzz
was premature.
Kind of tried to tell everyone that in his presser, like, dude, I'm going to do this on my schedule, on my time. I'm not going to rush into it. It's too important a thing.
Admon, you had some information on, said it was a little premature on Admon.
Yeah, and I think they're in the Admon's been working out, doing stuff with the team, but he's also he had been in the transfer portal, and he would certainly have options. But I called it, that's Buzz's first big recruitment is can you convince Admon to stay, because I think when Billy Kennedy was let go, I think in Admon's head, so it's not like a straight up thing, because I think in his head he was probably like, I'm gonna leave. Mm-hmm. And I think Buzz Williams, it tells you it's pretty significant of him that this is still ongoing, and they're still talking with him and his family about him coming back for one more year and to be a part of this. Man, look, it's college basketball. You get Admon back, you get a grad transfer, the right grad transfer or 2 in. You get a
third-year TJ Starks.
I'm saying, though, you're going to add to that recruiting class.
Yeah.
They have several official visitors coming in this weekend. I mean, even if Admon were to come back and no one else left, you've got 5, now counting that you have 3 guys that are signed, but you got room. Even if you kept those 3, the guy from Alabama I don't see being in the fold at all. But those 3 Texans, even if you kept them all, you still might have room to add 3 more guys, and who knows if anybody leaves, maybe even 4. So, I mean, you can flip this thing in a
heartbeat.
One
of the Vatech, was it commit or the player that announced that he was – may have been a Virginia Tech commit or tweeted that he opened up his recruitment.
Yeah.
Real quick before we go, have you heard anything about just – and I know you have – about just Buzz's presence, from people that, have listened to him now that are on the job?
Yeah, well, I mean, I had somebody tell me just yesterday that they haven't, a long-time basketball guys, they haven't ever they've kind of been able to observe him and they haven't ever seen a head coach that can command and energize and inspire a room of players, a locker room, and just capture their attention throughout an entire. You don't. He doesn't lose them, and inspires them and gets them fired up and has them believing. So they haven't seen a guy with that kind of charisma and that kind of power when it comes to holding the room and getting guys to believe as what they've seen in Buzz Williams, and just really hearing and understanding his message. And said in the words the guy I was talking to, he said it is a gift.
Got a prediction on the Masters this weekend before we go out the door? Winner?
No. I mean, what am I doing? I've just been there. I'm wearing the hat. What do I know, right?
Well, if your recent history with predictions has been shameful. So, I mean, what do I even need to
What's
ask?
my recent history?
Well, it's bowl picks, college football picks, Final Four.
First of all, bowl picks, well, I was fine.
30 seconds. Give me a Masters winner, and we'll get out of here.
Final Four picks, I finished third in the bracket last year. You weren't any good either. So, if you're going back to last fall, we all lost. So, I'm in the boat
Dominated
with that.
you. All right. You don't have a Masters winner. We'll see.
Who's yours?
Brent Snedeker. Sneds.
Record that. If he wins, you can play me laughing at your Brent Snedeker pick.
On the other, we'll see you guys on this side of the break.
I'm going to go with I'm going to really throw you on your head and go, oh, man. I'm going to go back to back.
Okay.
I'm going to go, wait, what's the guy's name?
Liucci.
I'm going to text it after. I'm going to
Okay.
tweet it after the show.
We'll see you guys on Monday, Beliucci Hour lunch. Louis on the other
now.
side.
You need help if you've been charged with a crime.